This evangelist, whose identity we've hidden and will call Andi for security reasons, was leading around 80 home cell groups in West Java of 5 or 6 Muslim converts and those interested in Christianity when we caught up with him.
I used the Quran at first to teach about Jesus Christ. In the Quran it states that the Bible is the light, and through that statement I direct the students to read and study the Bible.
Andi's ministry is risky, difficult, and dangerous. He's been arrested 4 times. Authorities also brought him in for questioning after one of the young men he was discipling gave officials his name.
One of the disciples of my Quran class told another Muslim about the things he had learned about Jesus. Because of this man, some of the neighbors heard about what was going on. He was interrogated and forced to tell them I was his teacher.
As a result, Andi was picked up by the police and brought to the village office for questioning. He was asked why he was teaching about Jesus Christ in the area and who was giving him money to do his ministry, and if it was coming from outside of Indonesia.
They started to ask which church was supporting me, and I told them none of the churches or Christians were supporting me. I was just following what Jesus said to me. They asked me how many people there were like me doing the same things to the Muslim people. I said there were many people all over Indonesia who were doing the same things as me. The interrogators, the mullahs, the police, and the soldiers were confused.
Andi described himself as a gangster before coming to Christ 17 years ago. He was interrogated for 12 hours. This time, however, his only crime was trying to bring people to Jesus.
They wouldn't let me sit. I was standing for those hours. The interrogators were the soldiers, and sometimes they hit my leg with a club.
Following the interrogation, Andi was released into the custody of a mullah, an Islamic scholar who was actually a secret believer. It was not only Andi who was persecuted, but his students as well, who had been keeping their faith in Christ a secret.
When the local Muslims found out my students who had accepted Jesus had Bibles in their homes, they were very angry. They vandalized their houses, their small businesses. They destroyed their farmland.
After those events, many of the new Christians, 47 in all, boldly declared their faith in Jesus Christ and were baptized. Andi was arrested on one occasion for handing out gospel tracts. Another time he was taken in for baptizing a Muslim who had been to Mecca after the son of the man he baptized reported this to the police. He was also imprisoned for sharing the Bible in a mosque.
The 4th time was when one of the students, who was not a true follower of Jesus, was just pretending to be, and wanted to know what I was doing in my meetings.
Andi's longest incarceration was for 2 years for his work among Muslims. Now, even though there was so-called freedom of religion in Indonesia, to teach or even suggest that Jesus is greater than the Prophet Muhammad is to risk great opposition and danger.
At the beginning, I didn't realize the cost of following Jesus and being put in jail. The worst was the food. The guard didn't wash the plate. They just took someone else's plate and gave it to me. Sometimes the food was on the ground. It was dirty, and they gave it to me. Sometimes the guard urinated on my bed.
Andi has also been beaten while in prison.
It was unusual for someone to bring Muslims to become Christians. The guards were furious, and I was often beaten. My cell was near the bathroom, and the smell was terrible, and it was hard to sleep.
Some of Andi's students have been arrested for sharing the gospel with Muslims.
I taught my students how to answer the questions from the police when they ask about their activities. When they are asked why you believe in Jesus Christ, you say, because in the Quran it says to believe in Jesus. Even Muhammad said to believe in Jesus Christ.
Andi has a wife and 2 children and knows his ministry has greatly affected them, especially when he is put in prison.
My wife is always afraid about what I am doing, and my daughter asks me when I leave the house if she will see her daddy again. One of my children said, "Daddy, don't do those activities again." I said, "I won't give up until Jesus himself tells me to stop."